What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. We are here in Season 4 of My Team Career Mode, and the previous season was one that started off pretty poorly, but we managed to eventually bring it back. We got P6 in the Constructors' Championship, and we beat Alpine, who we were battling with all season. We hit our sponsorship targets. We did not hit the target for who we wanted to sign as our teammate, but we have still signed one of my favourite drivers in Formula 1, Kevin Magnussen, to the team, and he will be joining us hopefully for this season, and depending on his performance, maybe future seasons as well. We're going to do some facility upgrades. We're going to get Durability Spec 3, and then we're going to put the rest of our upgrades into personnel. So we're going to be doing all of these top 3 pace, racecraft, awareness, focus, experience will all be boosted as a result of those. And now you can see the performance index. We are the fastest car, followed by Aston Martin, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Alpine, and Mercedes. I'd say all 7 of these teams probably have a relatively even chance of getting a good result though, so it's really not that close, all things considered. And now we get to see the driver transfers. Immediately you can see Max Verstappen is in the Aston Martin. Russell teams up with Perez in the Red Bull. Norris has moved from McLaren to Mercedes. We have Magnussen, who's made his way to Jaguar. Lance Stroll has switched out from Aston Martin to AlphaTauri. And then my former teammate Dennis Hauger has taken up Kevin Magnussen's seat in Aston Martin, so he'll be teaming up with Max Verstappen. So there's already been a plethora of transfers. You can see Albon here has moved to McLaren as well. Sargent stays where he is, as do most of these people, until we get to the very bottom of this list where we find the new Mercedes driver, Théo Pourchaire. They've instantly given him a run in a top team rather than promoting someone from one of the lower teams up to Mercedes. They opted to go for a brand new driver, so the driver lineup there will be Pourchaire and Norris. And speaking of former Mercedes drivers, I am going to be picking George Russell as my next rival. We are currently, I believe, running on 99 difficulty, so if we beat George Russell in this rivalry, I will for the first time be doing a career mode at 100 difficulty, which will be pretty exciting. So yeah, here we are, and we've got the facility upgrades on board, which means that Kevin Magnussen hopefully should be a little bit faster and a little bit stronger over the course of a race weekend, which is exactly what we need if we want to be contending for P3 in the Constructors' Championship. That is, of course, our sponsorship target this season. We need at least P3. Ideally, I want to win it, of course, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be possible. But I do know that definitely we should be contending for P3. I want to be fighting for the Drivers' Championship. There's absolutely no reason we shouldn't be. And yeah, we are now in the race weekend proper for the Bahrain Grand Prix. I am pretty confident that we can get a good result here. We got P3 here in the opener of the previous season, even when we had a pretty shockingly bad car, all things considered. We got pretty swiftly outdeveloped by the cars around us, but we got a good result here, so I'm hoping maybe we'll even be able to go all the way today and open the season with a win. It's going to take a lot, but I'm pretty confident that we can at least contend for the win, if nothing else, and ideally we'll be getting at least a podium. Again, I want Kevin Magnussen to be putting in a good shift for us as well, and he does in practice. P5, I'm not even in the top 10 or even in the top 14, but I didn't do a run on the soft compound tyres. My first run was on the hards, and then I did a few runs on the mediums, doing sort of fuel saving program, and then the race strategy program, of course, as well. So I didn't really do a representative lap time of my true pace on any set of tyres, so it's not really surprising that I wasn't up there. I'm thinking that in qualifying we should be a little bit closer to the front of the field. I think the target here, we're going to be aiming for sort of top 3, top 5 in qualifying. If we can get that kind of performance, that would be what we're hoping for. And yeah, we're gonna be hopefully yeah, just showing a lot more pace than we were showing at the early point of the season last season. I think it was a really difficult time for us up until around Singapore. That's kind of where we started to turn a bit of a corner in the development race and actually catch up to the rest of the teams. Until that point, we just looked so slow that it was honestly really difficult for us to race with the teams around us. So yeah, I need to be on top form, and the car needs to be on top form for the whole season this time around, and hopefully we should be able to contend with some of these other drivers. Now we find ourselves in P3 at the moment with a 127.4 after our first run on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, but we do improve by about 0.3, and I think this is just going to be enough for us to pip Pourchaire to P1, and it's Pourchaire actually who finishes P2 in that session as a result. Very, very impressive stuff from the French driver. His first Grand Prix weekend, and he's sticking at P2 and Q1. Pretty good stuff. Magnussen P6 there, so he's also through. Albon doing a good job in his new team as well. Meanwhile, you know, Norris down there in P12 in the Mercedes. Things not working out for him at the moment. And eliminated from that session are Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Stroll, Fittipaldi, and De Vries. So no real surprises there, I would say. You know, that the other teams haven't really made massive gains towards the front of the field yet. I guess Haas is starting to get there, but they're still not quite there. So we'll keep an eye on the Haas over the course of the season and see whether they can get involved in the fight for points as well. But for the time being, I think it's just going to be the usual top 7 teams that you've come to expect. We do a 127.6 on a set of old used soft compound tyres, ones we used in Q1 as well. So yeah, that was only good enough for P7, and by the time that we get to the end of our second run on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, that time was only good enough for P12. So we're definitely going to need a bit of improvement here. I think what we're doing right now should be good enough. Ocon only seems to be about a 10th faster than where we were, so this is going to be a pretty good run by the looks of things. And as we cross the line, it's a 126.8, and that is good enough to see us through to Q3 in P3. So yeah, a solid one. But now what we have to see, did Kevin Magnussen make it through? I think he did, and he did indeed in P7. So yeah, a really solid performance from him. Myself P3, Magnussen P7. Piastri ended up topping that session from Carlos Sainz. And the eliminations there were Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Hauger, Joe, and Sargent. So yeah, we're making it through with no real headaches. Norris, a little bit disappointing for him. He probably wants to be contending for the championship this season, you would have to imagine, but certainly he would want to be beating his teammate on his debut, and he's not done that. P12 for Norris. Meanwhile, Pourchaire is here in Q3, so we'll see where he can find himself. And we're going to try and contend for pole position now in the shootout if we can. 127.3 on a used set of soft compound tyres. What can we do on a fresh set? Currently being outperformed by Kevin Magnussen. I definitely don't want to find myself behind him at the end of the session, as I'm down in P9. But we are 0.5 faster than Charles Leclerc as we enter the final sector. So hopefully we should be contending for pole position here. I don't know what kind of time this is going to be. We're improving by about 0.7. It's looking like it should be around a 126.4, something like that. And as we cross the line, it's a 126.6. Yeah, I think a mathematical mistake there from myself, but P2 nonetheless. And yeah, we're not looking too bad.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Verstappen, Robinson, and Oscar Piastri. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So Verstappen claims the first pole position of the season from myself and Piastri. Pourchaire doing a great job to get himself up to P4 there. Magnussen got P8 only. George Russell will be disappointed. He's switched teams and it doesn't seem like it's paying off for him right now, only qualifying P9 with his teammate in P10. Yeah, maybe George Russell is not that guy in the Red Bull. Maybe this was a bit of a mistake from him. But in either case, we've outqualified him. We get the first jump on him in the rivalry. I actually am realizing now I forgot to bump up the difficulty where I should have done, so I'll try and make sure I remember to do that for the following race. And yeah, we in a good position to fight for the win, I would say. From P2, you know how my starts can be on this game. I think that we have a very solid chance of battling Verstappen for that P1 position, and yeah, we will see whether we can race with him or not. Obviously, he's changed team, and that seems to have paid off for him because the guy who took his seat is in P9 and he's all the way in P1. So we will see whether we can contend for the victory here and fight Max Verstappen for the win as we get into the Bahrain Grand Prix.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best, of course, at turn 1 and then another soon after into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Robinson completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Oscar Piastri, Teo Pourchaire, Sainz, Albon, Leclerc, Magnussen, Russell, Perez, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Hauger, Sargent, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson, Stroll, Fittipaldi, De Vries, and Zhou Guanyu. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. I'm joined by Anthony Davidson at the start of a new season, and it is a clean slate. Absolutely anything is possible right now.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
It's win or bust here today, I would say. Well, it's not win or bust. That's just something I say to make it more dramatic than it needs to be. But I don't know. I feel like I really want to start this season off strongly with a win if I possibly can. And I know that Max Verstappen is going to make life very hard for me if I do get ahead of him. And I know that probably what will likely happen if I do let him go is that he will just break away and disappear into the sunset before you can say Maximilian Verstappen. We don't get a good parking because I slightly overshoot it apparently. And yeah, I'm going to have a bit of a harder task now to try and get ahead of him. But, you know, if you call back to the first video of F1 22, you will know that I can still get a good start with this as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've gotten away well nonetheless, and we are up into P1 off the start. Can we be a full car length ahead of him by the time we get to the braking zone? No, we can't, so he's going to be braking alongside us in turn 1, but we have the inside line, and we have to leave him a little bit of room through turns 2 and 3, but nonetheless we find ourselves in P1 and leading the Bahrain Grand Prix here in the 2026 Formula One season. So, can we now hold on to this and just cruise home to victory? Probably not, you would have to imagine. This is not one of my strongest tracks, and this is definitely a track where overtaking is possible. So, I'm going to need to do a lot more than I've done so far if I want any feasible chance of winning this race. We're going to have to push really hard, we're going to have to focus up and just do the race that I know I'm capable of doing. Getting to grips with the brakes on this car has been really, really difficult, but I think I'm finally starting to understand them a little bit. I don't know why, but it seems to be that there's a particular upgrade that you can do that seems to actually make the braking performance worse for whatever reason, and I'm not sure what upgrade that is, but I seem to, for whatever reason, just not really have the braking performance in the car that I would be expecting, and I know that other people have found this as well, but it means that it's very, very difficult to contend with these guys because you have to brake way earlier into the corner than you think you do. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we maybe there's some kind of glitch with it. I'm not sure. Either way, Sainz has now broken ahead of us. Verstappen tried to get ahead of us. He couldn't quite do it. Sainz has got ahead of us. And Kevin Magnussen, I signed him to the team, and he immediately rewards me by getting damage on the first lap and having to pit. So yeah, he's probably been neutralized in this race. No way back for him now, other than with like some safety cars and some red flags. I think that's about the only way he's going to be getting points here. Through the fog, you can just about see Max Verstappen now going for a move on me up the inside. He's a full car length ahead by the time we get to the corner. We're here on lap 5 now, of course, but I will have the DRS for this next DRS zone, and maybe by the time we get up to turn 4, there will be an opportunity for me to get back past Max Verstappen as we dive up the inside. He leaves us just enough room for us to squeeze through there, and we are back through into P2. Carlos Sainz leading the Bahrain Grand Prix. Started P5, so he's actually had a really, really strong start here, Carlos Sainz, and now he finds himself 2 seconds up the road from me, and I imagine we will be coming under more pressure from Max Verstappen here down into the braking zone. Once again, he moves to the inside, but this time we're going to try and hold him off around the outside. We go quite deep into the corner, but we're still wheel to wheel through turns 2 and 3. And I think I'm just about going to get away here, and we're going to have the DRS for good measure as well. So now Verstappen is going to be coming under pressure from Théo Pourchaire, who has made his way into a podium position in his first ever Formula 1 race. Théo Pourchaire, very impressive, even in a Mercedes. You know, his teammate, Lando Norris, who was a championship contender last season, is barely in the points right now. So for Pourchaire to now be in P2 because he's just overtaken me is nothing short of remarkable, I would say. And well, regardless of what happens, I think we can comfortably say he has made a very, very strong debut here, and we're just trying to stay with him with the DRS if we can. But Max Verstappen now is going to try and get ahead of us as well as we get into lap 9. And by the time we get to turn 1, he is definitely sufficiently far ahead to keep hold of this. But he's quite slow through the corner, and we end up knocking into the back of him a little bit. I don't think we got any damage from that, but that was definitely a little bit of a hit. We're going to see if we can get back past him now. We're pretty close to him. He does have the DRS, but so do we. Dive up the inside, brake just at the right time to squeeze through. We're going to be wheel to wheel through turn 4, but we squeeze him out. And by the time that we get into the next sector, we are a full car length in front and leading Max Verstappen for P3. Carlos Sainz now 3 seconds up the road from us. I think we're going to have to do something creative on strategy if we want any chance of winning this Grand Prix now, because that gap has increased to 4.3 seconds as we start lap 12. Pourchaire now 2.6 seconds up the road as well. These guys are just breaking away and breaking away, and there's not really much we can do to stay with them, unfortunately. No matter how hard I try, it just seems like they have more pace than me right now. I don't know why that is or how that is, but it is. So yeah, we're withstanding the attacks from Verstappen, but we're definitely not in a position to fight with Sainz and Pourchaire right now. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and we're going to be pitting 3 laps before our scheduled pit stop, and I'm going to be going for a hefty undercut. I know that the hard compound tyres can definitely do this kind of pace, so as long as we don't drop off in tyre life towards the end, I think we should be able to contend with these guys with no real problems. Unfortunately, there was a pit stop error which gave us a 2 second slower pit stop than we were anticipating we were going to get. Of course, the next priority for us is going to be upgrading the pit crew a little bit. It's only 2.5 million, so it should be doable pretty soon, I would have to say. And yeah, we're coming out in P13, coming under pressure from Sargent there. Magnussen actually finding himself into P15 right now, but he will have to box again off those medium tyres because he went on those at the end of lap 1. So yeah, I'm going to say mediums can't do 28 laps around here. Now we're going to try and catch Zhou Guanyu. We go a little bit deep into turn 10, but nonetheless, we do have the DRS on Zhou, so hopefully we can catch him sooner rather than later. And yeah, we're going to be really close to him as we go through the next sequence of corners. And yeah, by the time that we get to turn 13, is this, I believe, we just dive up the inside, make a nice move. Obviously his tyre life a lot worse than ours, so I'd love to say that that was a lovely move. It was just an alright move, it was pretty good, and we find ourselves in P12. A few cars coming into the pit lane now as well, so that should help us gain a few more positions up into P9. And now Piastri and Leclerc are in. Piastri, of course, was someone who's right behind me before the pit stop phase, and we will see where we come out in relation to him, because that is going to tell us where we're going to be in relation to Pourchaire, Sainz and Verstappen as well, who were the nearest people. And Piastri seems to be about 2.5 seconds behind us by the looks of things, so that suggests to me that we are we're probably maybe going to be ahead of Verstappen, but probably not Verstappen. Pourchaire, we are going to be ahead of Verstappen as well, but we're going to be ahead of Pourchaire, but not Sainz. I would say Sainz is probably going to hold on to the lead, and we are going to be in P2 is my guess, out of the pit stops. So yeah, we'll see, because I imagine most of them will be coming in to the pits on this lap if they haven't already. But unfortunately, we've had another Portugal moment. There is a red flag, and everyone who is ahead of me is getting a free stop. So we are going to be legitimately P7 after this red flag, and that is absolutely devastating for our chances of scoring a podium in this race. We are going to be going back onto another set of medium compound tyres, which we're going to be going to the end on 13 laps. We did 12 on our last set of mediums, so I'm pretty confident the mediums could do 13 laps, especially now that we have less fuel on board. Should be nice and straightforward. We've got Albon in front of us as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway compared to Perez and Albon. Everyone else starting on the hards here. Have I made a mistake? Maybe, but at the moment this isn't a mistake, because we're all the way up into P4 already, and now we're going to be diving around the outside of Carlos Sainz at turn 1. And we're up into P3. We're back on the podium already. We make a bit more contact with the rear of Verstappen, but no damage on this occasion. We are super close to these guys already. These hard compound tyres not firing up for them, apparently. We're going to try and dive around the outside of Verstappen and Pourchaire now. We get ahead of Verstappen, and I think we're going to get ahead of Pourchaire here as well, as we exceed track limits just barely there, but exceed them nonetheless. So that's our second warning, and we need to be very careful now, or we are going to get a track limits penalty. But we have gone from P7 to P1 on this restart, so that is an absolutely fantastic way to do a red flag restart here, and I hope that we can hold on to this now. It seems like our mediums do have a bit more pace in them than these hard compound tyres, because I mean, you know, these guys just didn't seem to get them fired up. No matter how hard they tried, it seemed like I had way more pace than them. And going through these corners, you know, I've extended from 1/10 ahead of Pourchaire to 5/10 ahead of Pourchaire. So I think we have a real chance to break away from these guys and make our way up into a strong position. Lap 18 now, looking at Lance Stroll. He's brand new in that AlphaTauri for this weekend, and he's had a spin there, which hopefully doesn't bring out another red flag, because I want to keep on. He's actually driven into the barrier there, I think. I don't know if he picked up any damage from that or what, but yeah, I don't think that that spin necessitated driving into the wall. I think he could have just simply done a normal 3-point turn, not hit the wall, and got going again. He has now got going again initially, but well, I wouldn't be showing you this highlight if something even more strange wasn't about to happen, which is that I'm assuming that contact with the barrier must have done something to his gearbox, maybe, or something like that, because it seems like yeah, he is breaking down, and he is going to be retiring from the Grand Prix here on lap 18. He becomes our first retirement of the season, and yeah, we find ourselves in P1, 2.3 seconds ahead of Pourchaire, but that is not going to last, because there is another red flag. I think Piastri has had a spin there. He's not out of the race, but yeah, he has fallen down the order quite significantly, Oscar Piastri, and that has brought out another red flag. We are going to be restarting on lap 23, and we're going to have 7 laps on the soft compound tyre before the end of the race. So we will see what we can do once again here in Bahrain as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway compared to Théo Pourchaire, who's currently running in P2, from Max Verstappen, who's now made his way up into P2 ahead of Pourchaire, and yeah, we are going to be leading nonetheless, coming under a little bit of pressure there from Max Verstappen. Nothing too strong. They're holding each other up a little bit. Pourchaire falling behind Carlos Sainz now on the medium compound tyres. Very curious as why Sainz would go on the mediums here, but maybe he's out of softs that would be worth using, I don't know. In any case, we've already made our way quite significantly far ahead of Verstappen, and that meant that we were able to make it all the way to lap 25 before coming under pressure from Max Verstappen once again. He's now going to dive to the inside at turn 11 here, and we are just about going to keep him at bay. But yeah, I think that these are going to be a very uncomfortable 5 laps to the end here as we battle Max Verstappen for the win here in Bahrain. I think realistically we're going to be the only people contending for this. I don't think these softs are going to drop off enough that Carlos Sainz is going to come back into the fight. I really can't fathom why he went on those tyres for any reason other than he needed to for some reason, because the mediums are just not going to be as strong as the softs, and you're seeing that. You know, Sainz, who was leading the Grand Prix at one point, now finds himself in P3 and might find himself falling off the podium. Kevin Magnussen, meanwhile, has made his way from all the way down in P22. He got lucky with the red flag, of course. He's now in P6. We come under more pressure from Max Verstappen there, but nonetheless, we managed to hold on to P1. Only a few more laps to go. Can we maintain this position and hold on to a victory here in Bahrain? It would be such a great way to start the season. I really hope that we can make it a reality, but it may be out of my hands. I don't know. In any case, we are coming under more pressure from Max Verstappen. You can see that he is closing those gaps down to 1/10 every now and again, and well, he's going to get really close on this occasion. I think he's burning some battery. He's actually ahead by the time that we get to turn 14 and 15. However, we dive back round the outside of him, and what that is going to do is that is going to really compromise his run through the corner and also give us DRS, which means that we are going to break out of his DRS range and we're going to be over a second ahead of him. So I think that we now have a really good opportunity to hold on to this. We break quite deep into the corner here, but I think maybe he does too, because we're still 1.2, 1.3 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen, and that gave us a little bit of time where we were not coming under pressure from him. But now Max Verstappen is back to being close to us, and he's going to dive up the inside at turn 11. He can't quite make the move stick, but we are going to be coming under relentless pressure now from Max Verstappen to the end, you would have to imagine. I don't think he is going to let up. We can't let him through for even a second, otherwise there is a real chance that he's just going to walk away with the win. Porsche 3.8 seconds down. I think something very dramatic would have to happen for there to be any chance of Porsche getting involved in this fight for the win now, but nonetheless, he's over a second ahead of Leclerc. You would have to say that that podium is going to be his, and well, that is an absolutely remarkable performance from the Frenchman in the Mercedes. You know, I know it's a strong car, but where's Lando Norris? I don't even think he's in the points by the looks of things. I think Norris is down in like P13 or 14 by the looks of things. So yeah, he's had an absolutely shocking start to life in the Mercedes, but Porsche has taken to it very nicely, and we've only got a little bit left that we've got to hold on from Verstappen. He attacked us again into the start of the lap here on lap 29, the final lap of the Grand Prix, and I wouldn't be surprised if we came under a few more attacks from him before the end of the race. We can burn pretty much all of our battery now, and it's not going to make too much of a difference. So yeah, it's a good job I held on to this. I got quite lucky with the restarts as well, of course, that enabled me to be able to hold on to this without too much of a problem. And yeah, Verstappen now is going to try and close us down into turn 11. This might be his last opportunity with the DRS. We're going to dive back around the outside. He got ahead of us briefly, but we utilised the fact that we had the outside line to sweep round the outside of him and reclaim P1 as we make our way into the final sector. I think we are going to be able to hold on to this now. We've got enough battery to burn all the way down this straight. The only way Verstappen was going to get ahead of us was with the battery, so I think it's going to be P1 for us, P2 for Verstappen. Hats off to Théo Pourchaire, who on his debut gets a podium, and we are going to come to the line and take P1 in Bahrain.
What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Welcome then to the podium, our top three drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
Well, what a way to start the season. I am very, very happy with that. We take to our new season with the best performance we could possibly give with P1. Verstappen in his new team claims P2. I think he won't be too disappointed with that, although he will be unhappy that the pole position did not convert into the win. Théo Pourchaire, I imagine, will be ecstatic that in his first race in Formula 1, he is on a Formula 1 podium. Maybe Pourchaire will be a championship contender here. We'll see what happens as the season develops.
Robinson takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. So let's review the drivers' standings. Some amazing talent out there on track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Robinson.
Let's move on to the constructors. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula 1. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula 1 action very soon.
Well, it is very, very exciting to see this. We are at the top of both tables, and this is the first time in the history of the team that we have been at the top of either table. Kevin Magnussen picked up a P6, which honestly, given that if you'd have looked at that on paper and gone, okay, he started P8 and he finished P6, that's actually a really good result. Yes, he got lucky with the red flag, which kind of neutralized the damage that he picked up early on in the race. But I actually look at that and I go, because of this damage that caused him to go slightly longer on those medium tyres, he might have already pit by the time that red flag came out otherwise. And so I think that Kevin Magnussen actually got a better result than he would have done because he got that damage at the start. Obviously, I'd prefer if he didn't go around smashing the car up and costing the team money, and that's not going to pay off in every race. But nonetheless, I think that Kevin Magnussen got a better result for pitting than he would have done if he hadn't. Finishing P6 in his first race for the team, not too disappointing. Hopefully he can continue delivering points finishes. He definitely seems like a stronger teammate than Hauger so far. Hauger in that Aston Martin, of course, was only down in, I think, P11 or P12 at the end of that race. So yeah, not the race that I imagine the Norwegian would have wanted, but I mean, there was a reason that we didn't re-sign him for this season, and so far that seems to be vindicated both by my new teammate's performance and his performance in a new team as well. So yeah, I can't wait to see how the season develops. Will George Russell be able to get himself back into a championship fight? I don't know. I certainly thought at the looking at the driver's standings that he would be a championship protagonist. I kind of expected it would be Verstappen, myself, Russell, maybe Norris contending for the championship, and possibly the Ferraris as well. They're always a little bit unpredictable as to where they're going to be. So yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if Leclerc and Sainz too maybe even got involved in a championship fight. But yeah, based on this race, it looks like that's going to be difficult to call. They finished 4th and 5th, so they didn't even have a bad race necessarily. I think they're P2 in the constructors actually, but they're going to need more than that. They're going to need wins and that kind of thing if they want realistically any chance of being involved in the championship fight. Let me know down in the comments below, who do you think is going to be involved in the championship fight this season? Who do you think is going to be involved in the Constructors' Championship fight this season? Will it be the coveted 7-way Constructors' Championship fight and a 14-way Drivers' Championship fight? Probably not. You would have to wager. I think that some people will naturally just appear in the fight as more likely candidates. As we hit all of our sponsorship targets, we'll definitely have to look at maybe reviewing some of those now that we have a car that's capable of fighting for wins week in, week out. Hopefully Kevin Magnussen can find his way even further up the order as we progress. The next race, of course, is going to be the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or is that off the calendar? I can't remember. Either way, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.